Welcome to the Collapse Experiment. Somehow we ended up with the one last really nice day of 2024. Supposed to have some bad weather coming in. Let's go for a walk, shall we? So, red pill minus chicks. I can already picture the thumbnail I'm going to put up. Red pill. Of course, Matrix comes to mind, but it is the idea that you no longer go along with society's bullshit, that you, in a lot of cases, you kind of already knew that growing up, what the reality of things were, but you had society and everybody in your life telling you, you need to do this. No, that's dumb. You want to focus on that. Maybe you brought somebody into your life that took you off the path that you really wanted to be on. Or they really pulled you off the path that you were actually working on. Minus chicks. So the red pill. The red pill is the moment that you realize there's the thing that you should be doing. There's the thing that society tells you you should be doing. And then you kind of just push everything else out of your life that is not lining up with what it is you know is best for you. So for me, when I was going my own way after my divorce, there was a lot of pushback. There was. There were times where, if it was nice out, I would walk to work. Was it a mile? Might have just been a mile, right? And in that case, I would go and I'd walk in, or maybe I'd ride a bike if I owned a bike at the time. And of course the rumors would start, like, oh, did you see him walking in today? Like, where's his car? Did it get impounded? He must have got caught drunk driving. Maybe he didn't make all of his car payments. Like, the rumors just abound. And in reality, it was just, can I get a little bit of exercise? Yep. Does it save on gas? Yep. Sounds like a win-win. Oh no, because, like I've talked about before, everything about different places that you work at is status. It's always status symbols. If you didn't drive your BMW in, somebody's gonna ask, oh, did you trade it in for something else? Did something go bad on it? Everybody's got to know. Everybody's super nosy. Especially if it's a better car than what they drive, because they want to go home and either play disc jockey with themselves or rub one out at the fact of, like, that guy with the better car than me, it broke down. It's sick. It's a mental illness. A lot of this is just mental illness feeding on itself. One person catches it, and they're either feeding on the others that already have it, or they want to try to spread it somewhere else. So I got really into fitness and weightlifting, not because I was trying to meet anyone or impress anyone. It was, I wanted to feel good about myself, know that I had the potential. It was kind of like that last semester of college where I took a bunch of classes that I wanted to take as opposed to like what was part of a program. And lo and behold, I got a 4.0. It was a lot like that. Like, do I have the potential to actually be this jacked or ripped or whatever the freaking term is? I just wanted to be athletic and healthy, get into shape. Considering I couldn't use my health care that I was forced to have and pay for, but not paid enough to actually use it. Well, I suppose being healthy is probably the better option. And for this coming year, I will say it's not a bad idea to get into shape or stay in shape with, there's some virus, some walking pneumonia they're calling it, which is hilarious because I just had something like that over in India and China, where people are flooding hospitals. They don't have the room or the staff to take care of all these people. And even for me, when I had whatever it is that I had, I knew what was best for me was not just laying down in a bed resting like everybody always says. Walking pneumonia, you got to work that crap out. You have to get that out of your lungs. You can't let it sit there. The thing with pneumonia is that if it gets bad enough, you literally drown. So, I had that thing, whatever it was, on and off in different capacities, different states, for about 7 weeks. It was almost 2 months. You count the recovery time, it was over 2 months. And anyways, so I was working out. I got in really good shape. But then at the same time, I was also gardening, growing a lot of my own food. So I had like cheap, abundant nutrition from that. Some of the extras I was able to sell. I was reading a lot. I was reading a lot of books at that time. And then that was when I started writing. It was after that. So it was kind of, it reminds me of I forget the term, the Greeks, where it's the athletic, well-rounded, I don't know about spiritual, but the intellectual, athletic man that they were always striving to be. So a lot of those Greek guys, even the philosophers, like they were playing sports and stuff. It wasn't just one thing that they focused on, which I think that's a problem with our society right now, is people specialize in one thing, not realizing that in the past there's been so many professions where if you specialize in one thing and that one thing is eliminated or no longer necessary, what the hell do you do then? Hope you got some money saved up so you can figure out what you're going to switch over to. So why do I say to leave the other thing out? Well, because if you're focusing on that, you're not really focusing on yourself. And in reality, that should tell you that you feel like there's something missing. And if you can't be content with yourself, how are you going to be content with somebody else? So I think, unless you really focus on yourself for a period of time and improve your own situation, it's not really ever going to be a good time to have somebody else come in. I also think that if you are focusing on yourself and you are seeing progress and you are improving your situation and you're getting into a good state, a lot of times that's when somebody comes along. And it's not just like the 6-figure income. It could be, maybe, that person is looking for somebody who isn't spending all their money on stupid cars or trying to impress people wearing the name brand stuff. When I met my wife, it was through Tinder, of all things, and it was one of those situations where I had the app and I'd cruise through there and I'd swipe on some whatever, it'd go nowhere, right? I had absolutely no dates on there. And there was one night I was working and I was on break and I'm flipping through and her picture pops up. So I swipe on it. I don't even think I had the profile yet. And then like 10 minutes later, she pops up again, but all of a sudden it's got like all the info. And I liked what it had to say. So I swiped on it again. And I think it was like 3 days later we met for the first time. We just kept talking through there. And had a lot of stuff in common. And then come to find out we had even more stuff in common. So that was a win. But if you try to force certain things, usually doesn't work out. Which is why I never understood why people got all pissy and huffy when a date goes bad. And it's like, I just watched some video about a chick that was, I was trying to be the perfect girlfriend, and I bought him Legos, and I did this, and I did that, and he could come over and cuddle anytime. Then of course he ends up leaving because it wasn't that she was into him, she was into having a boyfriend. And I think he realized that was the problem. Clingy. Just... It's like, did you do this with I bet you he was thinking to himself, were you like this with everyone? This is nothing special. This is you trying to secure a spot until you find a better spot. So no, there's things that they always have to line up, right? It's like, when I wrote my first book, it was at a good time. Like Amazon was just starting to pick up with their digital publishing. Everyone was wondering, is this going to be a real thing? People like physical books. I like physical books. But there's that group. They embraced it. They paid for books. They paid for mine. So, had I written that beforehand, well, I suppose I still could have put it on the platform a couple years later and had the same results. Had I written it later, just kept pushing it back. I think the earlier you do certain things, the better. Because you can always take that project off the shelf, dust it off, and see where it might take you. What you can't do is run away from alimony, losing half your shit, losing half of your retirement 401k. I mean, yeah, for guys, I think guys can definitely wait and just work on themselves. And if you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you're doing it to impress somebody else, well, you're not really being yourself, now are you? And nobody wants Nobody wants fake. And that's something that a lot of women just don't understand. Like, what is with the dagger claws? What is that? Do they realize dudes are not attracted to that shit? That's a status symbol that women give each other to show they don't do physical work. You can't do dishes. You can't do laundry. Hell, you can't even fill out a checkbook with those things that they stick on their nails. The whole purpose is to show I do absolutely nothing during my day. And I'm great. I remember when the nurses at the hospital, that was a thing that was starting to happen. People were going out and getting their manicures. And then they come into work and they're trying to put on latex gloves to go see a patient. And then the bosses had to have conversations with all these different people saying, yeah, sanitation wise, you can't have that. For one, you're going to tear your gloves. Two, what the hell is under the nails after a 8-12 hour day? But it didn't matter. It was about status. It was about wasting money. I don't know how much it costs to get a manicure. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere in the realm of like $20 to $40, depending on where you went. And they didn't even think about the fact of, I can't have this at work. This is what happens when you focus on impressing other people instead of yourself. Impress yourself. See what you can do. Find your limits. Exceed those limits. Whether it's fitness, learning about something, getting a hobby. That is what you should really be focusing on. And if anybody else sees what you're doing and they're impressed by it, well, there you go. Otherwise, if they don't like what you're doing, but you're having fun doing that thing, tell them to go to hell. I've been on so many dates where I tell people, the girl, what I'm into, and then they're like, you read what? And you do what? And it's like, obviously this isn't going to work out. Because it's like, if they can't accept you for what you like to do in your own personal time, forget it. And then there's the women that are like, what, you're not willing to change for me? No. Go find your dream slob somewhere else. You shouldn't expect somebody to change for you. That is the most selfish, asinine thing I have ever heard somebody demand of somebody else. And it's freaking immature, too. It's like, flip it around. You know, the nails, if we're going to be a couple, that shit's got to go. Oh, hell no. That's the response you would have gotten. Like, you demand the same thing of somebody else. First of all, if they're putting demands on you, run for the door. If they look like they're not willing to accept something that you enjoy doing, it could be something as simple as hiking, and they're like, yeah, I don't do that. Probably not a good fit. So, anyways, that's about it for me today. Keep on typing.